experts now suggest that excessive use of social media may pose a risk to our mental health.
A new study suggests that Gen Zers born in 1995 or later are more emotionally distressed than ever before.
Well, for most of us, social media controls us. We need to take control of it.
On social media, we are constantly surrounded by people and companies that are consciously, for the most part, and sometimes actually unconsciously, trying to sell us something. Or telling us we need to be different, that we need to be better. We need to care about this or that. And frankly, because of that, I've actually sort of lost sight of myself. You know what motivates me? Likes, comments, followers? That's just not me. I tell myself I'm better than that I care about things that are actually important, that actually matter. But the truth is that these apps and software are actually designed to make you addicted, to make you feel like everything you experience in there actually matters. Your brain physically releases dopamine every time you get a like, a comment, or a follower. And that's just called validation, really. And we crave it. And it's never enough. But then I think to myself, isn't the greatest kind of validation actually the one you get from yourself? I think that's the real problem here, and I think we should talk through it. So today I am speaking to you partly as an environmental activist, but also partly as someone who generally wants to do good in this world. And what I've come to realize with 25 years of experience, I know it's not that much, but I've done a lot of thinking, is that if I don't feel good myself, within myself, I cannot do good in this world. And it's very hard to face these feelings, to come to terms with the fact that even though you may superficially on the outside have everything possibly to make you happy, and yet you are unhappy. Something somehow is holding you back from experiencing your life to the fullest. And for me, and maybe for some of you guys out there as well, I've come to understand that something is a lack of self-love that is very deeply rooted. And that's not to say it's a lack of confidence. I think these can be mixed up sometimes, but they're actually very different. You can have people that are very, very confident on the outside, but inwardly they actually, detest themselves or hate themselves. And that's not my case. I don't hate myself, but I definitely don't love myself the way I should or the way I deserve. And to loop back to social media here, I think social media is an added factor on top that makes it very much worse. If I didn't have social media, I think to some extent maybe, I don't know if I would be happier per se, but I think I would have a bit more self-love. I think these platforms are very dangerous because they give you the outlet and the opportunity to be always comparing yourself to other people. I'm 25, and on these platforms, I see other people who are my age who seemingly are more successful or are prettier or who have done more than me. And so I'm constantly put in that position of comparing myself in a negative way, not in sort of a positive growth, enticing way, if that makes sense. I think social media today can also be very harmful in the way that we are fed ideals that are not real. So what we see online, for example, in Instagram is maybe photoshopped, or maybe the stories that we're seeing actually have a face filter, an altering face filter on top of it. So we're coming to questioning what is real and what is not, and we're fed ideals of perfection that actually in real life aren't attainable. So, you can imagine what sort of effect that has on your brain and your brain physiology. So I think that's one of the reasons that social media can be very dangerous and is participating in actively increasing that lack of self-love and self-confidence in some of us. And for me, that is a certainty. On top of that, social media today is also used to feed ad to us. So we become this sort of commodity, and people are actively selling us something and making these platforms addictive. So we spend more time and we're more prone to buy life as something through these apps. And I've read the stats that we see on average 5,000 ads today through social media. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. And it's hard to step away from that and to understand that as human beings, we are not commodities. You know, we are human, we are people, and cannot be commodified in that way. And, you know, hopefully you don't see this video as some sort of rant or some sort of way to get nice comment of people saying, no, you know, you're awesome, we love you, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is to tell you that if you're feeling the same way, you are not alone. Regardless of where you come from, how old you are, what you look like, you're not alone in this. And I think a lot of people are starting to feel this and to feel the negative effects of social media at the moment. And I want to be here with you to try and find a way out of it, to try and find a way to feel better within ourselves and to be better humans because we're able to love ourselves for what we are. I would say the number one thing that has been really helpful for me when I feel like I'm in a dark place or I've been spending too much time on my phone and I really sort of get sucked into that negative spiral, the number one thing that helps me is spending time in nature. So just going outside for a walk, being close to trees, or going for a swim if that's possible. That's always so helpful to me. And you know, it's not this like sort of hippie stuff, although I have nothing against hippies, they're amazing. But there is scientific research that proves that connection with nature, and actually even seeing images of nature calms the brains and sort of reduces these anxiety hormones and whatnot. So that is my number one solution, is spending more time in nature. And also, along the lines of nature never really judges you, if that makes sense. I never feel like I have to compare myself to a tree in nature. I just exist within Earth, and I am moved by the elements that are around me. Number two is obviously to step away. So giving yourself the time you need away from these apps, because you deserve time outside. You are a human that doesn't just exist through other people or through the way other people perceive of you or through photos and videos. You exist within the present moment, and you need to take that very seriously. And so I try to be really critical in that sense of how much I use social media. I think I'm also... The number three solution in that case is to surround yourself on social media with accounts and people that make you feel human. That is to follow accounts that inspire you, not accounts that make you feel like you should be doing something differently or that you should be different. If I would have a last piece of advice here on today's video, I think it's also to realize that it's important to refocus on what is just physically present within your surroundings, because this virtual world doesn't really technically exist. And you know, you can argue because it exists on your phone, but in the end, the only present time is the one in which you live. Yeah, that's that for me. I hope you could relate to the video, and if you did, you know, give a follow, give a like, whatever you feel like is appropriate in response to this video. I'm trying to be as vulnerable as I can here, and I'm trying to share an experience of something that's really been troubling me for the past few months. So if you feel like sharing your own insight, please do in the comments. I'd be more than happy to read how other people have, you know, experienced this space. Thank you for watching.